I see that the first slide is up there, so I just go ahead and start. So hi, my name is Jelmer Jeuring. I am a social scientist working at Met Norway. I am a member of a PPP0 group, and also I am part of the Arctic Regional Climate Center Network, about which I'm going to talk a little bit today, and specifically about how the Arctic climate forums that are being organized by the network are used as a platform for creating the type of user-producer interactions that several of us over the last days and today as well have been talking. So I just want to, yeah, it's here, right? Yeah. Put the next slide on. I will first explain a little bit about what the Arctic RCC network is, what it entails, and what the Arctic climate forums are. And then I move on to give 3 examples of how we use that as a platform for creating those type of interactions. And I will close up with some of the lessons that we have learned along the way. So what is the Arctic RCC network? As you can see here, it is a WMO organization which is part of the Regional Climate Center initiatives, and it aims to create centers of excellence to strengthen the capacity of different Met institutes to deliver well, valuable, useful, you can use different terms that Michiel just showed earlier on climate services for different national users. The Arctic RCC network is consisting of different Met institutes that are represented also in the Arctic Council. And we are organized in different nodes, 3 actually. A North American node, Erik Thoman is one of those that are representing the North American node here. There's a Northern European node, of which Met Norway and DMI, and well, you see the list. And then there is the Northern Eurasian node, which is represented by ARI. And we have different tasks. Forecasting tasks, data service management tasks, and also monitoring tasks. So we have this division that, of tasks across the network that's working pretty well. The initiative started in 2018, and we are currently in a demonstration phase, and we hope to get designated to a fully operational RCC by the end of this year. So this is a process that is currently being worked on. So what do we aim to do spatially and temporally? Just briefly, because well, this is something that I'm actually not going to talk about. But we aim to fill a gap on the monthly and seasonal timescale in terms of information for the Pan-Arctic across different regions, as you can see on the bottom right, for different regions across the Arctic. So this falls in between the long-term projections and the more commonly known weather forecasting timescales. And perhaps most important activity of the Arctic RCC network is the Arctic Climate Forums. And those are biannual, so twice a year, seminars that are being organized both physically and online, and for obvious reasons, mostly online in the last years, to develop a consensus statement on the current status and the future outlook of the Arctic climate on a seasonal scale, but also to create awareness among end users, among researchers, among forecasters about well, climate services on those timescales, and to create discussions and interactions with societal actors about the use of this type of information in their planning and in their decision making. So the last Arctic Climate Forum was organized at the end of May this year, typically just before the summer season, and it was hosted online by Environment Canada actually. And the next one will be organized at the end of October, which is typically before the start of the winter season in the Northern Hemisphere. So just to take a little bit of a step back and a reflection on seasonal forecast information, it has gained a lot of attention in recent years, and with that attention, there has become a lot of high expectations as well. But it's good to be a bit critical as well, and to also acknowledge that well, there are expectations and a lot of good work is being done. There's also, well, skepticism maybe about what is the value actually, who can actually do something with that kind of information. And well, there's different reasons why this skepticism is there, and I think it needs to be discussed as well. For example, there's a lack of accuracy in models for different parameters. For example, higher latitude precipitation forecasts are relatively difficult, and they have several misses. And these misses may result in a lack of trust. Michiel already mentioned trust as an important aspect in why information and products are used or not being used. Spatial temporal scales and parameters may not fit the user needs, but also long-term decision making is a difficult thing, and maybe not everyone is familiar with it. That includes different end users, stakeholders, but definitely also operational forecasters, for example. So we need to get into a dialogue and into iteration about the value of sub-seasonal to seasonal information as it is provided by the Arctic Climate Forums. So this is exactly what the network wants to do through the forums, and we try to create different types of interactions, not only end-user oriented interactions, but also, importantly, interactions that are more internally oriented towards researchers, towards operational forecasters within the Met institutes, within other institutes, because we need to address and include actors across the value chain. So, how do we want to do that, and how do we try to do that? I give 3 examples here around the Arctic Climate Forums. And the first one is in the preparation phase of these forums is that we try to reach out and gather expert information from colleagues to well, give some context to the average data that we are providing. For example, different graphs and statistics of observed extreme events to show, okay, this is actually what happened out there. Another example is the input that we are gathering, well, maybe some ground truth of, okay, how was the weather, how were the actual conditions experienced by different actors. And in this example, you see feedback that we get from Sami communities in the Nordics about, in this case, last winter. And it shows that, well, it's qualitative information. It's not numbers, it's not data, it's actual lived experiences. So this is very much important also for us and for the physical scientists to understand what kind of impacts, well, actually conditions are having. And here you see that changing conditions, thawing, freezing, moving back and forth, combined with rain and snow really made it difficult for the pastures to be accessible by the reindeer herders. So this is something that's, well, is important for us to understand, to choose and prioritize the parameters that we are discussing in the forums. And then as a third example, we have evaluation surveys that are being sent out after each of the forums, and to understand who actually participated, how the forums were experienced, and to improve each forum after one. And well, everything can be made better, of course, so this type of feedback is very important for us. Here you see the type of participants that are joining the forum. And it's quite varied actually, but mostly it is the provider side that is being represented there. So I guess we have a bit of a job to do to also include more the societal actors and create a more balanced audience for the forums. And at the same time, you see that the number of responses is 11, which is not high. So we cannot really draw strong conclusions, but it gives us an indication. We ask questions like, okay, what kind of parameters did you value? Did you value it highly or not? And overall, we get a positive feedback on that. So this is important to know that we're on the right way, but we need to get into discussions about, okay, what to include as well, and next to these essential climatic variables, and for example, how to show that, what kind of formats to use. Does it continue? Yes, it does. And then, sorry, we also ask about the extent to which they currently use or communicate sub-seasonal to seasonal forecast information. And here you see that, again, it's only 9 responses, so it's it's not a statistically significant, interesting number of responses, but it gives us an indication, and we see that across surveys we get a similar response all the time. The type of information currently provided is not so much used yet. So there's work to do there as well. So what are the lessons that we have learned based on these kind of interactions? Well, first of all, that the hard work in the network is definitely appreciated by the participants, but also by WMO, because I think we are moving towards designation, so this is good news. Also, Pan-Arctic collaboration is possible, which is, even in an online world, a very good sign, and it's encouraging that, that we're able to do these kind of climate forums, even during the COVID period. Current use of ACF products is, on the other hand, still limited. So we have to be modest there and acknowledge it. Yep, thanks. And we need to build local value and strengthen engagement and give it time. It came back also in the presentation of Gita yesterday, for example. These kind of relationships are important to build on, but we have to give it time, and it is not done in 2 years or 3 years. It's really long-term engagements that we are looking for. And especially the Arctic RCC Network is an initiative that is aimed to be long-term, so there's an opportunity there. So still, as well, we have to be modest and say that the Arctic seasonal forecast, as they are provided by the Arctic RCC Network, currently still have a way to go forward to actually become what you can call a service. We provide information, but does it actually become a service? That is something that is still up for discussion. There is an essential role there to move forward there within the network of Arctic research and operational experts. So we want to invite people here in the room as well to join the discussion and join the dialogue and help us get in touch with societal actors across the Pan-Arctic, but also be an active part of the Arctic climate forums and have a collaborative discussion about what is happening and how to improve and increase the value of seasonal forecast across the value chain. So yeah, that is more or less what I have. I want to thank you, and if you are interested in getting more information, I'm happy to take any questions, but also there is a website that you can look at with lots of information and data as well. People love data, I think. So yeah, thanks a lot.
Thank you. Perfect timing. We are running slightly behind, but if there's one quick question, then we can take it. Otherwise, I would suggest we take it into the... Yep. Do you want to come up? Yes, please.
Hi, thank you for your presentation. I just wanted to ask, do you provide the information for the Sami just in the north of Norway, or also you cover Sweden and Finland? And, or
yeah, so,
there is... Thank you.
So, thanks for your question. That's an important one, actually. Yes, as you may have seen in some of the slides, we provide information for different regions across the Arctic, and that includes also what we call the Eastern Nordic, and this covers both Norway, Finland, Sweden, Russia. So yeah, there's information that should cross the borders that we are having now. Yeah.